Some moments expose the truth about your marriage without a single fight. When she laughed at me in front of her coworkers, brushing off our life together like it was a joke, I felt something inside me snap. Not anger, clarity. You know the sting when someone you love uses you as entertainment. You smile through it. But deep down, something shifts forever. And while she kept talking, her boss watched the whole thing. Later, she slipped a card into my hand, leaned close, and whispered words that froze me in place. Words that made me realize someone else saw my worth long before my own wife did. And what happened next changed everything. But before I tell you what happened that day, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Some moments expose the truth about your marriage without a single fight. I stood near the edge of the ballroom, nursing a drink I didn't want, listening to polished laughter echo off marble floors. Her company's annual gala looked like a scene from a magazine. Elegant dresses, sharp suits, bright lights. Yet all I felt was distance. Distance from her. Distance from myself. Distance from the version of us that once felt solid. She was across the room with her coworkers, storytelling with her hands, animated, glowing in a way she hadn't been around me in months. I wanted that glow to make me proud. Instead, it made my stomach tighten. Then she brought me into the story. "And my husband?" she said loudly. "He showed up late because he couldn't find parking. Typical." They laughed, a few too hard, a few glancing toward me with pity. She continued. "He gets lost, coming to the same building every time. I swear he has the direction sense of a toddler." More laughter. Her boss raised a brow. One coworker covered her mouth, embarrassed for me. "But my wife?" She kept going. "He's sweet," she said, "but he's not exactly corporate material." The room turned quiet for half a second, and then they laughed again. My chest tightened. Something inside me cracked, not loud, not violent, silent, sharp, clean. She didn't notice. She didn't see the shift in my eyes. She didn't feel the heaviness settle into my shoulders. Her boss, a tall woman with sharp confidence and calm eyes, watched me from nearby. She didn't laugh. She didn't smirk. She didn't even pretend to find it amusing. She looked at my wife, then at me, then back again with an expression I couldn't read. I set my drink down and stepped out onto the side balcony for air. Cool night wind hit my face. The city skyline glowed. I breathed in slow, trying to get the sting out of my chest, trying not to let her words settle too deep. But when the person who promised to love you becomes the one who humiliates you, the pain doesn't sit gently, it roots. The balcony door opened behind me. Her boss stepped outside. She stood beside me without speaking. We watched the skyline for a few seconds before she said, "She shouldn't have spoken about you that way." I swallowed. It was a joke. "No," she said, "it wasn't." Her tone wasn't warm. It wasn't harsh. It was factual, clear, honest, like someone calling out a truth I tried to minimize. "She gets carried away," I said. "She gets careless," her boss corrected softly. I turned to her. She met my eyes with a steadiness that disarmed me. "You don't deserve that," she said. I exhaled slowly. "It's fine." "It's not." Silence settled again. She shifted her hand, sliding something between my fingers. A small white card. Elegant. Minimal. Her name embossed in gold, followed by a number handwritten beneath it. When I looked at her, she leaned closer. Not flirtatious, not invasive. Intentional. "If you ever need someone to talk to," she whispered, "call me." My breath caught, not because of the offer, but because of the sincerity in her eyes, the understanding, the recognition. Someone saw what my wife refused to acknowledge. "Why?" I asked. "Because pain deserves a place to land," she said. "And you stood there tonight without protecting yourself. That tells me you've been swallowing things for a long time. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. My silence confirmed her suspicion. She stepped back, giving me space. Think about it, she said, turning to head inside. And know this, people who truly value you don't let rooms laugh at your expense. She disappeared into the crowd. I stared at the card. A door I never expected had just opened. Minutes later, my wife found me on the balcony. There you are, she said, half annoyed. Why'd you sneak off? I needed space, I replied. She waved dismissively. Don't be sensitive. You know I was joking. I didn't smile. I didn't nod. I looked at her with a quiet she wasn't used to. What's wrong with you tonight? She asked. You're acting strange. I slipped the card into my pocket. Nothing's wrong, I said. Except everything was shifting. She didn't notice the change. She didn't notice anything at all. She grabbed my arm. Come back inside. I need you to meet a few people. Need me, but only when it benefits her. I followed her inside, but my mind stayed on the balcony, on the truth spoken in a whisper, on the card in my pocket, on the question rising in my chest. What happens when someone outside your marriage sees your worth more clearly than the person inside it? Some moments expose the truth about your marriage without a single fight. I walked back into the ballroom with my wife tugging my arm, but something inside me no longer followed her. My steps did. My body did. My mind didn't. She didn't notice the distance. She only noticed the eyes on her. She straightened her dress, lifted her chin, and smiled, as if nothing happened on that balcony, as if my heart didn't shift out of her reach. She brought me toward a group near the bar. This is my husband, she said, with that clipped tone she used when she needed me as decoration. He's finally here. They nodded politely. I nodded back. No emotion, no warmth. I stood there listening to her speak about work wins, travel plans, future promotions. She talked about everything except us. One of her co-workers asked, "So what do you do?" Before I opened my mouth, she answered for me. "He's in between things," she said. My jaw tightened. I wasn't in between anything. I had stable work. She knew that. She just liked the reaction she got when she painted me as lower than her. I watched the co-worker's polite smile soften into something awkward. I finally spoke. I run my own projects. They're steady. She rolled her eyes. He means small projects. I stared at her. Direct. Unfiltered. She didn't hold my gaze. She laughed instead, grabbing another drink. Her boss noticed from across the room. She didn't approach. She only held my stare for a second, as if asking a silent question. Are you still pretending this doesn't hurt? My wife leaned into her friends, talking louder. He takes everything so seriously. If someone teases him, he sulks. I stepped away before my expression betrayed me. She didn't even turn around. I walked to the far side of the room where low lights glowed over a quiet set of tables. I sat down, away from the noise, away from her performance, away from the version of our marriage she presented to everyone but me. Minutes passed. Then her boss sat across from me. No invitation needed. She placed her drink down and studied my face. She's been like this for a while, hasn't she? She asked. I kept my voice low. She jokes. People joke. That wasn't a joke, she said. Jokes end where respect begins. Her words sank deeper than I wanted. You saw everything, I said. I did. And? You deserve honesty, she replied. So here's mine. She treats you like someone who won't leave, someone who accepts any version of her, someone who doesn't demand respect. I leaned back in my chair. Her accuracy hit harder than the ballroom noise ever could. I said nothing. She continued, softer now. There's strength in silence, But silence without boundaries becomes surrender. I swallowed. The card in my pocket felt heavier. You don't know us, I said. I know people, she replied, and I watched you tonight. You didn't defend yourself. You didn't challenge her. You didn't leave the room. You absorbed everything, so her evening stayed smooth. I felt my throat tighten. She didn't mean harm, I said, though the words tasted weak. She didn't think about harm, she responded, which puts you in a painful place. I stared at the table. She waited. Then she leaned forward slightly. Let me ask one question. When was the last time she looked at you with pride instead of dismissal? My chest pushed inward, air stuck. I knew the answer, and silence confirmed it. She nodded. Pain sits quiet until someone names it. Before I replied, we saw my wife approaching. Her boss straightened but didn't leave. My wife stopped at the table, eyes narrowed. What's going on here? She asked. Her boss replied smoothly. We're discussing the event. He looked like he needed a moment away from the crowd. My wife shot me a look, one packed with suspicion, not concern. You shouldn't wander off. I need you with me tonight. Need. A word heavy with possession, not connection. Her boss stood. He needed space. Respect that. My wife stiffened at that, but she forced a smile. We're fine. Her boss looked at me once more. Remember what I said? Then she stepped away. My wife gripped my wrist. Why were you talking to her? She came to me, I said. For what? To check on me. She scoffed. You don't need checking on. Yes, that was the problem. I pulled my hand back gently. You embarrassed me tonight. Oh, stop, she said. You're too sensitive. Everyone teases their partner. I looked straight at her. You mocked me. You know I didn't mean anything by it. That doesn't remove the sting. She crossed her arms. Are we doing this now, at my event? No, I said. Your event matters more than my dignity. I know. She flinched, a small, sharp crack in her expression. I didn't say that, she whispered. You didn't have to. Silence thickened between us. She stepped closer. Let's go home. We'll talk there. I nodded and followed her toward the exit. But the card in my pocket stayed warm against my leg, and with every step, one thought kept rising. She isn't the only person who sees me. Some moments expose the truth about your marriage without a single fight. We drove home in silence. Not tense silence. Heavy silence. The kind that makes every streetlight feel like judgment. She kept her eyes on the road, gripping the wheel tighter than needed. I stared out the window, replaying every moment from the party, every laugh, every dismissive comment, every time she used me as a punchline, and every word her boss whispered on that balcony. When we pulled into the driveway, she didn't get out immediately. She shut off the engine and stayed still, breathing hard, like she was shaping the version of the conversation she wanted to have. She finally spoke. You embarrassed me. My head turned slowly. I embarrassed you? Yes, she said. You walked off. People noticed. You made things awkward. I let out a slow breath. I walked off because you made me the joke of your department. She looked away. I didn't expect you to take it so seriously. Respect is serious, I said. She opened her mouth, then closed it, struggling. You're too sensitive. And you shouldn't have been talking to my boss alone. That looked bad. There it is, I said quietly. You're worried about appearances, not my feelings. That's not fair, she shot back. It's accurate. She stiffened, crossing her arms. What did she say to you? Why does it matter? Because she pulled you aside, my wife said. She spoke to you like she knew something I didn't. I looked her in the eyes. She saw something you didn't bother noticing. She swallowed hard. Which is? That I was hurting. She paused. The fight in her face softened, replaced by something unsure. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked. "I shouldn't have to explain why public humiliation hurts," I said. "You're my wife. You're supposed to protect me, not mock me." Her chin trembled, but she tried to keep her voice steady. "I didn't think it was a big deal." "That is the big deal." Silence settled again, thicker now, as if the walls themselves waited for her next move. She leaned back in her seat. "You went out to the balcony. I saw her follow you. I saw the two of you talking. It made me uncomfortable. I didn't look away. Because she showed me the care you should have?" Her eyes widened, not in anger, but in recognition, a truth she didn't want to face. Her voice cracked. "Did she flirt with you?" "No." She swallowed. "Then why did she give you that look? Like she understood something about you?" "Because she witnessed every word you said," I replied, "and she didn't find it amusing." My wife leaned forward, elbows on her knees, rubbing her forehead. "I didn't mean harm. I didn't. I was trying to fit in. I wanted to seem light and fun." "By dragging me down," I said, "that's how you choose to shine?" She froze. That line cut deeper than anything she expected. Tears filled her eyes, but she blinked fast, as if refusing to let them fall. "I'm sorry, I went too far." I nodded. "You did." She reached out to touch my arm. I didn't move closer. I didn't pull away. I stayed still, letting her feel the shift she created. "Please don't do this," she whispered. "Don't shut down. Talk to me." "I am talking," I said, for the first time in a long time. She covered her mouth, breath trembling. "I didn't realize how much I hurt you until I saw you walk away." "Walking away wasn't anger," I said. "It was me protecting myself." She finally began to cry. Soft at first, then harder. Like a dam that broke once she realized the consequences weren't hypothetical. She took a shaky breath. "Did she give you something?" I reached into my pocket. Her eyes widened. I placed the card on the center console. She picked it up with trembling fingers and read the handwritten number. Her breath caught. "She gave you this?" she whispered. "Yes." "Why?" "Because she saw something worth respecting," I said. "Something you ignored." She pressed the card to her chest. "Are you going to call her?" "I haven't," I said. "But will you?" she asked, voice cracking. I looked at her. Long, slow, honest. "That depends on us," I said. She broke down completely then, tears running, shoulders shaking. "I don't want to lose you," she cried. "I didn't know I was pushing you away. I didn't know how bad it looked. I didn't know how it felt. You didn't want to know?" I said gently. "That's the problem." She covered her face, sobbing into her hands. "I'll do better. I swear, I'll never talk about you like that again. I'll defend you. I'll respect you. I'll fix this. Please, please don't call her." Her desperation wasn't dramatic. It was real, shaken, bare. A woman confronting the cost of her behavior. I took the card from her hands. She held her breath. I tore it in half, then again. Then let the pieces fall into the trash bin beside my seat. She gasped, relief flooding her features like a sudden sunrise. "You chose me?" she whispered. "I chose respect," I said. "Now you need to choose it too." She nodded, tears still falling. "I will. I promise." She leaned forward and wrapped her arms around me. This time I didn't hold back. I held her tight, feeling the fear in her grip, the sincerity in her trembling voice. "I'm sorry," she whispered against my chest. "I'm so sorry." I closed my eyes. "We rebuild from here," I said. Slowly, with honesty, with boundaries, with the quiet hope that tonight became the turning point instead of the breaking one. Thank you for reading this story. A new emotional journey arrives soon.